Okay, folks, here we go. Once again, I came back here and work area is all orderly, as it should be. I win. 77%. We should be good for that. And one thing we got left. Oh, Mr. Fan is not connected. Let's get Mr. Fan connected. Bag o' change. Okay. So we were working on this little observer guy, and we're going to do that. But before we do all of that, we're going to go ahead and prime all these figures that are over here in the corner. We'll go ahead and do that because we're going to want to roll into these guys as soon as we can. There's figures that have the digger hats on them. What'd you call me? And those guys are definitely going to be Australians. And the guys that do not have the bush hats on them can go both ways. They can be used for the rest of the Commonwealth team. So even a guy like this who comes from the Australian set, he could be used as a as a British or something like that. So plus the Airfix guys, they default also to the being British lads. All right. So we're going to put this here. And these have already been washed. For better adhesion. Let's not forget the guy laying on down on the job. Kind of almost like a transparent flesh type of color there. And that sneeze attack, just all of a sudden, that's happened to me a couple times today. Don't feel under the weather. You know what? I just remembered something I didn't do. I need to see if they if something is available, I'd probably look on eBay. So the Fujimi half track, Fujimi half track's running about $20. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to need to get if I need to replace those tires. I can't seem to find them. $17. You get one from Canada for $17. Shipped. I might have to do that so we can finish that Africa Core one. Yeah, well, shit happens. You know what? I'd rather be so happy with it that I'm willing to spend another $20 on it to get it roadworthy, literally, than not be happy with how it painted up. Actually, I should look at a box in the garage to see if it's there. I'm sure they're misplaced. The little rubber wheels that come on it. A lot of stabby dudes. That guy's stabbing, this guy's stabbing too. Like I said, down, damn it. Heck, he's holding the Enfield upside down, stabbing. He's extra angry. Somebody ate his Vegemite. I don't know, was Vegemite still available back then? It's a byproduct of beer, I think. Where's all my Vegemite experts? Alright, that's a stabby guy. This guy's kind of stabby too. Oh, we printed up a whole mess of Australian names. Australian last names. So we're ready to go. Another stabby guy to your face. Do him in the face. Well, we'll see what the entertainment value is tonight, because without y'all's interaction, I can't make it too far. Especially this late in the evening. It's only 7:15, but it's been dark for 2 hours now, almost 2 hours. Oh, I have it on the wrong chat. Yeah, I got it on the wrong chat. I don't know if that would have made a difference. Nope. Not yet, anyways. I know something I wanted to do. I'm gonna write myself a note, so I need to look at this. And hopefully when I go grab this, some other people are online, because there's this cool scenario, and I've talked about it before. in Tunisia. And it's just I think it's a scenario somebody just pulled out of their ass. I don't know if I want to be able to paint tonight. I'm pretty tired. Now, the good news is these guys don't have a lot of equipment. They got like a canteen, that's about it. Whew. Oh, both of yous. Well, come on down and wake my ass up. Because I'm not doing too well right now in the sleep department. You know this? Let me get some ice in here. Yeah, I got this scenario many, many years ago. In a there was a thing back in the early 2000s, late 90s. I think it was early 2000s. It might have been around the late 90s as well. In the infancy of the internet, called MagWeb. And this was this site that you could, for a subscription, I don't know what it was, $8 a month or something like that. It was 3, 4 months, I don't know what it was. You had access to a lot of old magazine articles. Nothing in color, black and white. You know, like stuff that was predated me. Like even stuff from the 70s and the early 80s. Stuff I've never seen before. And there's a couple articles that were actually pretty good. And you could print them if you wanted to, or what have you. That place doesn't exist in that name anymore. There might be equivalents to it or something like that, but it was called MagWeb. I found out about it when I was on the miniatures page back when, many moons ago, when I used to go there every morning. I'd check my email. I'd check my personal email and then go on the miniatures page. Like, I don't ever check personal email anymore. There's nothing there for me. Nobody sends me anything. I don't send anything out. So, there was this one particular article that I kept, and it's always this scenario that I've always thought, you know, this would be kind of fun to do because it's not very big. It's really geared for like four players, and they're all over the map. And I've talked about it before. But it might have been a little while ago. And I don't remember what. It'd say at the bottom of the when you printed it out what magazine it was from, what issue, or what have you. Pretty sure this was from the 1980s. This particular scenario. So we're gonna go take a look at it here in a second. As soon as I paint these 8 guys or something like that, let's see how we can get on with this guy here. Everybody must be watching Monday Night Football. Yeah, if I'm falling asleep when I start my show at 7, you know I'm falling asleep when I'm starting at 9. Hey Fred, what's happening? I'm trying to stay awake, man. I'm trying to stay awake. I started this only at 7 o'clock at night, but it happens. What's on the table today? Australians. We got Australians from Strelitz, and we have Airfix 8th Army. So we've got Desert Commonwealth troops. The Australian figures, so the ones that have the bush hats, those guys are going to be Australians for sure, and we'll mix in some of the other Airfix figures, which can go both ways. You know, they can be desert rats as well. So, or New Zealanders, or you know, the New Zealanders had this funny little hat in the desert, and so did the South Africans. South Africans have kind of like a pith helmet looking thing, and the New Zealanders have something that's just totally weird, just totally weird. But I gotta finish painting this one guy, and then I'm gonna go look at this scenario, and hopefully that'll wake me up. If not, I'm gonna have to shut down for the night because I'm just literally falling asleep. You just got up at 1 in the morning after having slept through the day, head cold. So now some dwarf forest, and I'm gonna continue painting Great War German Army. Okay, so you're 6 hours ahead. Okay. Great War German Army. What scale? What scale? What figures? And what time period German Army? No. Pre-1916 or post-1916? There's this book that my dad had. It had this color plate of a World War I stormtrooper, German obviously, and he's got the camouflage on his helmet, and it's like a splinter type camouflage. It's in sections. He always looks so cool. I don't think I got that book though. I'll see if I have it. 6 mil. Oh wow. Pre-1916, so pick a Haube. Is that how you say it? Pick a Haube. Pick a Haube, any Haube. Let's see if I have that book. It's kind of a generic warfare book. If I had it, where would I have put it? Oh, wait. Back there. Atlas of Weapons and War. I think this is what it is. It's an old book from the 60s or 70s or something. I believe it's this one. Old coffee table book. I'm going to take a guess what year it is. 1975. Let's see. '76. Wow, I almost said 76. Okay, let's go to section 7, trench warfare. I'll show you this picture. You know, it's just kind of has generic stuff. You know, Napoleonics. Just not too much on any particular subject matter. Here's the World War I section. These guys look badass. Let me kill this light. This light's probably overkilling it. Pretty freaking cool, huh? Yeah, the World War One German boots are brown, right? The tall ones, but these guys have short ones, and they've got the zombie wraps. Not the zombie wraps, the mummy wraps, the puttees or whatever you call those things. Yeah. Yeah, it's always like caught me as a kid. That particular one. You did a boo boo and accidentally printed all Stahlhelm infantry, but gotta paint them anyways and use elites. Have some Pickelhaub's cooking though. In 6 mil, can you even see the little pointy things? Well, they're way out of scale for sure. I know they're way out of scale. You gotta be. You wouldn't be able to see them. Well, you'd be able to see them. You just have to, get a microscope or something like that. Let me see if I can find this scenario that is super cool, and I'd like to share with you guys. Just gotta find out where the skirmish scenarios are. Okay, they're not there, which means they're probably over here. Oh, I hope they're not here. I hope they're not here, because I cleared my desk and kind of threw everything in here. I probably shouldn't have. Something's going to end up getting damaged. Let's see. They're probably right underneath this. Hey, there's all this DVA crap in here. What's that all about? DVA crap. What's this? Quick reference sheet. 3.0 scenarios. Okay, we're in the right place. We're in the right place. Let's see what we got here. Stuff I pulled out from the internet. This is from 2003. Cool stuff I found on the internet. Modeling the T-34 and its variants. See, these are one of these scenarios that this is something that came from MagWeb. And this is actually an article from Wargamer's newsletter. I printed it in 2002, and it was from, the article is actually Wargamer's newsletter number 163, copyright 1975 by Donald Featherstone. And small unit action here, little map, but that's not the one I was looking for. This is my brainstorming page for my African imagination thing. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get around to that. That's not here. I will always keep looking at this scenario so many times, and every time I find it, I lose it again. I misplace it. And I probably need to take a photograph of it or something like that, save it in some retrieval system, because I don't have access to where that came from anymore. And I may not be able to find it on the fly like this. skirmish scenarios. Okay, here's skirmish scenarios. Found it. Alright, I'm going to put you somewhere else. Because this is a super cool scenario. And I don't know whether it was done tongue-in-cheek. I'm probably going to read this whole thing to you guys. I hope you don't mind. It'll probably help wake me the hell up. Because honestly, I'm kind of falling asleep. And there's no reason to be falling asleep. It ain't even 8 o'clock yet. Okay, now I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna put this back. Alright. This is like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, MagWeb was this thing you could sign up for. Found out about it on the miniatures page. You had access to all these different magazines, articles, all black and white. They may have been, I don't think that they were color. And let me give myself a little bit of that height advantage. Here we go. And you could just download the articles if you wanted to. Magazines I never heard of. That other article was from Wargamers newsletter. This one's from Campaign. Campaign number 62, 1974. So this came out in 1974. So if there's any wrong stuff in this, you know, you can kind of correct it. And this is not made specifically for any rule set. You know, but I always thought this particular one was fascinating, and I brought this one up before. But this is, I guess, this is article 6. This is episode. No, this is issue number 62, in this area called World War II Delaying Actions, and it's just 5 pages long. Okay, and what I mean by it's kind of tongue in cheek, the names they use for some of these things are kind of make believe names. And they're kind of like, joking. But it's a scenario that's on a, actually I don't even know what it says, what size table it is, but. Anyhow, this is Situation 1. This is an article written by someone named Don Lowry. Battle of Sidi Boubou. Now, I thought that's just make-believe, but there's actually places in Tunisia that are named, that have ridiculous names. So I'm not sure if there's actually Sidi Boubou, but I have a feeling it's probably inspired by, different things. But basically what this is one that there's 2 Allied players and 2 German players. So one of the German players is part of Rommel's Panzer Army Africa, and the other one is von Arnhem's 5th Panzer Army, which was, I believe the core force was the 10th Panzer Division, and that's the one that got the Tigers. I don't know a lot about Tunisia, so I'm working actually my way through that Audible book that has the first part of the Desert War. And when I get through that, I'll probably turn around and do the other one that goes from Gazala all the way into Tunisia. So, anyhow, so the situation was designed to keep busy 4 players reasonably experienced with World War II miniatures and our local rules. A sketch map of the strategic situation was taped to a wall near the table for all to see, and each player was given a scale map of the table and a sheet describing his forces, mission, etc. These are reproduced below. Players were assigned roles with some eye to how their personalities and experience would fit the parts they were to play. The American player placed his forces on the table under the eyes of the judge, and these were then noted on the scale map. And all forces that would not be immediately visible to the approaching Germans were removed. The Germans, of course, would move first. So there's basically 4 forces, and this is what the board actually looks like. And I'll keep referring to this later on. You've got a house here, a shed, a bombed out house, a wadi through here. Ben Wadi, where are you? We need you. Another wadi over here. And then, so make-believe things. This is a road that leads to Vaseline Pass, and this leads to a place called Gotcha. This one goes to a place called Sabubi, and this gun goes to Fade Pass. So anyhow, with that said, here's the make-believe scenario. And the make-believe scenario is interesting because there's a mixture of forces, and it's relatively small, but it looks relatively interesting to me. So, okay, the American forces consist of Task Force Rice, Close Combat A, U.S. 1st Armored Division, 2nd Corps. You are allotted the following forces: 1 M3 Lee medium tank. You have 1 T-12 tank destroyer, which I believe is that the U.S. half-track that has that 75mm gun and kind of an encasement on it. It's basically a half-track with a 75mm on it. And 2 37mm anti-tank guns with jeeps. And for infantry, you have 2 squads, each with a bazooka. I don't know, were there bazookas in... I don't know if there was bazookas in Tunisia. BAR and an M3 APC, each having a 50 cal HMG. So basically 2 half tracks, each carrying a squad, 2 37mm anti-tank guns with jeeps, a half-track tank destroyer, and an M3 Lee medium tank. So, you know, nothing crazy. Situations. Yesterday our forces were thrown out of Gotcha by the 15th Panzer Division and out of Fade Pass by the 10th Panzer. This makes it necessary to withdraw completely from the eastern dorsal and establish a new line on the western dorsal. Therefore, your mission is to conduct a delaying action to buy time for establishment of the new position and to allow for all units to reach it safely. Specifically, you are ordered to hold the crossroads called Sidi Boubou throughout today and withdraw tonight to Vaseline Pass. Your left will be supported by forces from the British 26th Armored Brigade Group at Sabital. Appreciation. The German attacks yesterday were expertly executed and caused mass confusion among our inexperienced troops and great loss of material. The German dive bombers were very damaging. It is expected that the 15th Panzer and perhaps other elements of Rommel's army will advance from Gotcha to Sidi Boubou, while the 10th Panzer and other parts of Arnhem's forces advance from Fade Pass to Sabital and link up. They can then advance on either Sabubi or Vaseline Pass or both. At least advanced units of both forces could reach the Sidi Boubou Sabital area by early morning. Set up. Dispose your forces however you like anywhere west of the large dry riverbed, Wadi. East of that is British territory and responsibility. Okay, so which way is north? North should always be towards the top. And there's no north on here. West of the large dry riverbed. Here's the Wadi. You can say which way west is. All right, which way is that Vaseline Pass? Oh, okay. It's like this. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm actually going to write on here. What? What are you doing? This way is north. Okay, so we can set up anywhere west of the Wadi. Here. So they're basically set up in this entire zone. They got the whole friggin' board to set up in. The American players, Pete Rice, that's why it's Task Force Rice, instructions were worded in such a way as to try to get him to feel and act like a green commander who knows he's up against a superior force. For this reason, the player with the least experience with these rules was chosen to be the American. The mention of dive bombers participating in yesterday's attack was also part of the psychological buildup. For all he knew, he might be bombed at any time, although he never was. At one point in the game, I even told him a squadron of Stukas could be seen circling overhead. I didn't tell him they'd already expended their bomb loads elsewhere. Finally, with his eastern flank supposedly covered by the British, he began to worry quite a bit when no British were to be seen on the board the first few turns. Okay, so you've got all these forces on the map. Enter the British. Is this interesting at all, or are you guys just sitting on the edge of your seat? This is a great scenario. Just wait. At least the forces are really good. And this is what I would actually consider building these things for this scenario. You know, go buy a Lee, go buy one of those tank destroyers. You know, I already got the half tracks. I probably have 2 squads of Americans. Just need a couple 37mm guns with jeeps. I didn't come up with this. This was back in 1975. I was pooping in a diaper when this came out. 74. Nah. I was getting out of that stage, but I point. Ham force. Guess that means that the player who played it is some ham dude, or he likes ham. British 26th Armored Brigade Group, 1st Army. You are allotted the following forces: 1 Stuart light tank and 2 Crusader 3 cruiser tanks. Okay? The 2 Crusader 3s, those have the 6-pounder. You know. Infantry and recon consists of 2 jeeps, 1 with a 30 caliber medium machine gun with 3 men each, and an anti-tank gun consists of a Bren gun carrier with a 6-pounder. That's like easy to build, right? 1 Stuart, 2 Crusaders, couple jeeps, Bren gun carrier with a 6-pounder. That's kind of a neat little conf group. That's what I liked about this, is there's like 4 forces of like little conf groups, you know? So it's not like, oh, okay, 2 infantry squads and, you know, they get like a boys anti-tank rifle and that's it, you know, no vehicles. It's a little bit of everything. Situation. The Yanks to our right seem to have had a bit of a row with the Jerrys and are falling back to the western dorsal. To avoid being outflanked, we are forced to do likewise. A new line will be formed along the western dorsal, but it is necessary to slow the German advance and maintain contact with our American cousins. Mission. You shall proceed to the vicinity of Sabital, which is here. Remember, this is the British area of responsibility, supposedly. Americans have everything on this side of the Wadi. You shall proceed to the vicinity of Sabital, which is a whole town reflected by 1 house, where you are to watch the road coming in from Fade Pass and maintain contact with the Yanks at Sidi Bubu. Okay, so move into the Sabital and watch the road coming from Fade Pass, which is this way. If faced with overwhelming odds, you will retire towards Sabubi, trading places for time. Okay, well, you don't have much to retreat because it's right here. that's the edge of the board. Appreciation. Jerry is out in force and advancing with his usual audacity. Gave the Yanks quite a drubbing, actually. Keep a stiff upper and watch your flanks. Come along the road from Sabubi on turn 3. So on turn 3, the Brits don't even start on the board. On turn 3, they come in from this road. Okay, you got Americans that are set up all over here. The Brits come down this road here. So they got a 6-pounder, but it's not set up. It's getting pulled by a Bren carrier. Survivors. Oh, there's 5 groups. Interesting. Survivors Fade Force, British First Army, composed of the following forces: 1 Valentine infantry tank, infantry equivalent of 2 squads walking, 1 25-pounder with a quad truck. These are remnants of the force defeated yesterday at Fade Pass. They are retreating towards Sabital when overtaken early this morning by a strong German force of armor and mechanized infantry. They fought gallantly, but were overpowered by superior numbers backed by heavy tanks and swarms of dive bombers. Most of this force has been overrun and now being mopped up by the German infantry and recon forces. These few survivors have, so far, outrun the German pursuit. If you outrun anybody with a Valentine tank, they're not pursuing you very fast. I'm just saying, you know. If a Valentine tank is outrunning the enemy, then they're chasing you with a Churchill. Okay? That's freaking slow. Their mission is to escape. Appreciation. Look out! Here they come, right behind. They come from the direction of Fade Pass on turn 8. Will come under the command of Ham Force the turn after arrival. Okay, so you got the original British forces are coming in here, and these guys on turn 8 are coming this way trying to escape. My intention has been for the British to be commanded by Richard Hamblin, hence Ham Force, who had quite a bit of experience with our World War II rules, and his instructions were worded in such a way as would, I hoped, lead to some confusion and mistrust between he and the American. It would be interesting to see if he sat calmly on the side of the Wadi unopposed while a large German force shot up the Americans, or he would overstep the letter of his instructions and go to the aid of his allies, possibly leaving his own sector unprepared for a second German attack in his sector. Ultimately, Richard couldn't make it that day. This is the kind of thing you better be prepared for when devising a situation. So I kept the British under my own control as judge and put them strictly on the defensive until the Americans called for help. Okay, so that is the Allied forces. We have a Lee tank, a half-track tank destroyer, 2 jeeps hauling 37mm anti-tank guns, and 2 American squads, each in a half-track. That's what the Americans have, defending most of the board, 3/4 of the board. And the British have a Stuart tank and 2 Crusaders, 2 3s that come on the board, along with a couple of jeeps, and an anti-tank gun, a 6-pounder being pulled by a Bren gun carrier. And then they have 8 turns in. Actually, these guys come in on turn 3. The British come in on turn 3, and the guys that are running away are coming in on turn 8. So for 3 turns, the Americans are here by themselves. Okay, I don't know what rule set this is made for. You know, obviously, if you use something different, you would just have to modify it so that it kind of made sense. You know, yeah. So anyhow, that's it for the good guys. What do you mean the good guys? The Germans are the bad guys. Come on. Get some thicker skin. Kampfgruppe von Eaton, 15th Panzer Division of the Afrika Korps. You are allotted the following forces. 2 STKFZ 222 armored cars. A heavy armored car. 233 with 75mm pack. Timeout. The 233 had a short 75. Okay, so it didn't have a. That was the one that had the pack was a 234/4, and they didn't make very many of them, and they came out in late 44. So yeah, they didn't know any better in 1975. And 2 motorcycles with sidecars and LMGs. Panzers. They have 2 Panzer IV F2s and 1 Panzer IV F1. So 2 with a long 75, 1 with a short 75. A 50mm pack, okay, a pack 38 with a boxer truck. Okay, Opel Blitz. Panzer Grenadiers, 2 squads, 1 light machine gun, submachine gun, or 7 rifles each, with Hennemag 251 armored half-tracks. That's pretty strong force compared to the other stuff. Situation. Yesterday, 15th Panzer Division drove the Americans out of Gotcha and drove them into confusion into the plains between the eastern and western dorsal to avoid being outflanked. Mission. You will be the advanced guard of the 15th Panzer and are to press the Americans so as to prevent their recovering their balance Before a whole division can get up, gasoline supply has been delayed. You are to seize the vital crossroads at Sidi Boubou and interpose your force between the Americans in the Vaseline Pass and the British at Sibubi. 10th Panzer should advance to Sabidal today. Try not to lose those panzers. They're hard to get. Set up. Start off the board between Sidi... Here it says City Bonbon. Where the hell is City Bonbon? I don't think that's on here. I think they meant to put City Boo Boo. Between City Boo Boo and... Let's see where we left off here. And Gotcha. I don't know. They come in somewhere in here. Somewhere in this zone. Down here in the corner. Come on along the road or anywhere within 12 inches of either side of the road. Yeah, like I said, on the road or 12 inches on either side of the road. Okay. Kampfgruppe von Edgar, 10th Panzer Division, 5th Panzer Army. You're allotted the following forces. Reconnaissance. 1 Kubelwagen with 2 submachine gunners and a rifleman. 1 Tiger and 2 Panzer IV Gs. And 1 squad of Panzer Grenadiers and a Hanomag half-track. Situation. While the 15th Panzer on your left advanced unopposed from Gotcha, your advance from Fade Pass was delayed by a British infantry force backed by infantry tanks and field artillery. Yeah, those are those guys that are running away. Part of the force defeated yesterday at the pass. After tough fighting, their position was finally overrun. Remnants fleeing before you towards Sabidal. Mission. As the advance guard of the 10th Panzer Division and the 5th Panzer Army, you are to advance as fast as possible to Sabidal, drive all enemy forces out of that area, and link up with the 15th Panzer Division between Sabidal and Sidi Boubou. Most of your infantry, light vehicles, and light weapons have been left behind to mop up the force, just overrun, but should catch up before dawn tomorrow. Appreciation. It is expected that the British will have a small armored force at Sabidal and the Americans one at Sidi Boubou. Push ahead boldly, try to minimize tank losses. Above all, don't lose that Tiger. Setup. Come along within 6 inches of the road from Fade Pass on turn 9. Okay, so they're going to show up on that same road the survivors are coming, 1 turn after the survivors show up. Running away. They're right behind them. Ed Eaton, our group's real World War II buff, who provides most of the men and vehicles for these battles, was selected to be the German commander because of his presumed superior familiarity with the rules and tactics. Note that neither side is given any indirect fire capability. This is because artillery would dominate such an open terrain and take the fun out of the game, and because we were trying out a new system for anti-tank fire, which I wanted to concentrate on. Ed was not shown the following 2nd German force, which he would also command, since no other German player showed up that day, until time for their arrival. It came on just in time because the Americans, aided by the British Crusaders fighting across the Wadi, had been pretty much thoroughly shot up the 1st German force, though suffering heavy losses themselves. That's it. That's the scenario. And I think it's cool because things come at different times. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, hell, you only start with the Lee, the 2 jeeps with 37mm guns, one of those half tracks with a gun on it, and 2 squads of infantry, and they're only fighting the 1st German force to begin with. Which, hell, I got all those things. I mean, they're painted gray, but... yeah. Anyways, I always thought this scenario was really, really cool. You know? It's just an idea, you know? You come across ideas in books and stuff like that you read that they don't necessarily have to be balanced. They're just kind of a thing that happened, you know? Just a scenario that's happened. There's an action I was reading about, I was listening to today on the book that I'm reading, which I actually have a hard copy of it as well. This thing is excellent. Desert Armor, Tank Warfare in North Africa. Beta farm to Operation Crusader, 1940 to 41. They make it the second part of it, which is the Ghazala to Tunisia part. And they have this on Audible, and there's just so many juicy bits to look at that I wanted a hard copy of as well. And there's this one action that I just got done reading. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. That books, the Audible books are great, but it's hard to like follow where something is, you know. And they were talking about like the cruiser tanks, like break down all the time in the desert. Oh, and there was one light tank that got there was one type 7 that got lost in the middle of the night, and they ended up like I gotta find that. I'm gonna end up like screwing up saying it. We'd always think unbalanced armies with different win conjectures gave me the most fun. Yeah, you just have to, and sometimes the ones that are outnumbered actually end up winning. You know. Let's see if I can find that. There's some good tactical stuff in here. Major Ronald F. Jane C Squadron, equipped with Mark 6B light tanks, was designed to watch the Derna track, while the rest of the squadron refueled. Around 10:15 hours, Jane spotted a large column approaching on the track. It was a company of 14 M1340 tanks from Tenente Colonel Emilio Iezzi's 5th Battalion Carri M, so medium tanks. The Italian tanks spotted Jane's covering force and immediately attacked, with some crews even firing on the move. Well, that doesn't mean that they hit anything. They were just fired on the move. 3 British light tanks were quickly hit by 47mm fire, and Jane ordered a tactical withdrawal. However, the Italian tanks kept on coming and soon encountered thin-skinned vehicles from the A echelon, still involved with refueling operations. The M1340s spewed machine gun fire, scattering the British support personnel while continuing to pursue Jane's retreating light tanks. Jane called for support, but A Squadron was only able to send 3 A9s to meet the Italian tanks. In a brief skirmish, Captain D.C. Seymour Evans attempted to knock out 2 M1340 tanks by firing 55 2-pounder rounds. Not exactly good gunnery. But in turn, the Italians destroyed one of his cruisers, and the other one was disabled when its 2-pounder gun malfunctioned. After a long desert march, the breech mechanism was likely fouled with sand and grit. For the first time, Italian tankers had a British armored unit on the run, if only briefly. Yeah, there's some juicy little bits in here. Of course, there's never enough detail that you would like for it to have. It said that the Italian tanks were diesel, and the cruiser tanks were gas, and the Italian tanks were only consuming about half as much gasoline as the cruisers were. Interesting, didn't know that. Yeah, there was one particular Mark 6 that got stranded in the middle of the desert for like several weeks, and it said that the crew got out and wrote like "help" in the sand, and they like fought off several attacks and stuff like that. Anyhow, this is a really cool book, and really cool book. So a lot of tactical stuff in here, more tactical stuff than I've seen in anything else. So, and Robert Forsyth, I've read a couple of his things before, or listened to a couple of his things before. He's pretty detailed, and I can't remember which is the one that I read before. I think a Barbarossa one or something like that. Um, yeah. So, anyhow, who's still here after that narrative? Okay. So here we have the Australians. Now we've got guys that are dedicated Australians. I'm going to set them off to the side. In other words, I'm only going to be able to use them as Australians. Like this guy comes from the Australian pack, but you know he could be used as a Brit because he doesn't have the little the whatchamacallit hat. Bush hat. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9. That's good. So about half of them are actually dedicated Australians. Full-time Australians. What rule set are you using for your World War One stuff? There's some World War One stuff. It's made by a company called Tumbling Dice, and I really like the style that they're done in. I really, really like the style they're done in. They're quite tempting. Well, this dried out, so now we can use the other part. And now I'm gonna go get a soda. I'll be right back. And I think I've woken myself up enough to paint these guys. Oh, Peter Pig. Oh, I love Peter Pig stuff. Even though they all have Habsburg chins. You know what I'm talking about. But that's just his style. I kind of like him. Yeah, I think the desert's actually really balanced. Except there's some things that show up that just there's no way to deal with them. Like, nobody's got any way to deal with a Matilda other than throwing an 88 at them or dropping a Stuka on their ass. I mean, you just can't deal with... We can't deal with a Matilda. You know, it's like dealing with a Tiger tank. Square bashing. Is that, the board is actually in squares? It's not too, geometrical? What? Geometrical. There we go. The weather changed, so the allergies I didn't think I had. I think everybody has some kind of allergies. Is what made me sneeze a couple times today. I feel fine, but I sound like I've got something going on. Okay, let's move these guys over here. And let's grab our usual suspects. I believe we're ready to do the flesh next. I believe that's what gets done next. Let's just go ahead and pull the flesh parts, which is the usual suspects are black. Nope, that's ivory. That's also not white. Damn near white. There's white. Sunny skin tone. I can see colors, but they're blurry. And red leather. That's my flesh mix. So you sit down on the job? Squares. It doesn't look too geometrical. There's a guy, I'm going to recommend this to you because I think it's worth it. It's worth listening to, and it's relatively short. There's this, he's not a historian. Well, what exactly is a historian? Somebody who writes a bunch of shit. Now this guy's like interested, he's actually a war gamer, and he does a history podcast called Hardcore History. His name is Dan Carlin, and he has some pretty good shows. And one of the shows, and they're all free, and one of the shows that he does is a 30-minute show that compares the World War I German military to the World War II German military. And it's worth listening to. It's like about 30 minutes long. It's free. It's available on YouTube. It should be required listening. Dan Carlin, World War I. Let's see. Okay, you can actually download it. I think it's on YouTube. You can actually download it for free. It's episode 1, Imperial Germany versus Nazi Germany. And you can just listen to it right here. Oh, it's actually like 52 minutes long, it looks like. It's really, really good. Of course, he's got shows that are really, really long. That's not one of them. So, I recommend that if you're interested in World War I stuff. It's kind of cool. I think you can make it look very diorama-esque if you stay away from squared terrain features. Yeah, as long as you make the square lines disappear, you know. What do you do with the diagonal stuff? You can't attack diagonally? You know, there's a game that I played that was all squares, and it was called Battle Academy. And it was all squares, and I thought that game was great. It was very cute. And I mean that in a good way. It wasn't like, oh, it was cute, huh? Yeah, that's good. It was an attractive looking game. And it was all squares. I like because the little creatures, the little tanks and stuff look like micro armor. You have dots on the board so to blend in well. You can attack, move diagonally. So you just have to hide the dot. Yeah. I've never played any Peter Pig rules. I do like their figures though. I do like their figures. They have a certain look, and I'm kind of down with that. I like that. I was at Historicon one year. What was in 2009? I'm pretty sure it was 2009. They had just come out with their samurai that are superb. They are really, really superb, and it's the only army I think that I ever bought and turned around and painted them immediately. excellent figures. Excellent figures. I've seen their World War One stuff, and I like them. You know, some of them they all have the same kind of face, but I'm okay with it. You know, it's not like it's the Britannia face. It's a Peter Pig face, man. A Peter Pig face is cool, and they have separate heads and stuff. They sell separate heads. Yeah, if I did World War One, I'd definitely do French. I would do pre 1916. I'd do French and German. You know, the French with the colorful pants and stuff like that. The blue and red pants. Oh, where's my water thing here? You know, there's a lot of figures out there that just get overlooked. I think Peter Pig gets overlooked by a lot of people. I'm not sure why. You know, these Airfix figures are actually excellent. You know, they got their problems. And basically, I'm concerned that the paint's going to hold to them really well, but sculpting wise, these things look great. Now, I don't know who the hell sculpted these things way back when, but he did a good job. I know, I just assumed their gender. Well, it was probably a dude, okay? Yeah, the Horizon Blue looks really cool. Yeah, it's just something, you know, it's something interesting. It's something interesting. Are you doing Germans because somebody else is doing a different nationality, or you've already done the other nationality, or are you starting off with the Germans? Yeah, I got lots of questions. Yeah, those figures look a lot better than, and I'm a minifigs fan. I do like minifigs, but the World War One minifigs are just they lack inspiration. They are just not very inspiring. Oh, but you're doing square. You're doing the Peter Pig rules with 6 millimeter figures, so you're just using the rules. Oh, well, you probably can have a really. Your board is probably really small, like you know, handy and like portable. I don't know what is wrong with the freaking nose, man. Yeah, we needed to talk some to kind of wake myself up a little bit. So thanks for listening in on that scenario thing. I really would like to do that. You know, sit there and like, you know, I could do it small. Like, okay, I don't have a Lee. Go buy a Lee, paint a Lee up. All right, I don't have one of those tank destroyers that are, you know, paint one of those things up. Maybe we'll see how that pans out. 5 by 3 foot board, 15 centimeter squares. That's big squares, man. That's 15 centimeters. That's divided by 2. That's like 6.5-inch squares, right? Something like that. How many stands are the units? Like each, like say you have a German unit. What is it? All one stand, or is it like multiple stands that can make up one unit that, like, can stack in there? I bet it looks pretty cool. The only problem I would have with 6mm is it's a pain to get the goop or the basing material in between the figures. A real pain in the butt. Other than that, I like how they look. Oh. It's always something. Super handy to have that little pail of water there. I love this figure with the binoculars. It's such a classic. Classic figure. Stepping away a few for a cuppa. Okay, let's add a little bit more of this flesh tone to this. Jeep pulling a 37mm. Man, that's kind of overtaxed. I don't know. 37mm is not very big, but man, the Jeep doesn't have that much horsepower. What's it got? 40 horsepower, maybe? I'm gonna have to look that up. I wonder if it's this. I wonder if that's what it is. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to order another Fujimi half track and use the tires from it, cast them out of green stuff. And maybe only then they'll turn up. Okay, now we have a little bit of white. Oh, shit. We didn't do his face. All right. No biggie. the side of his face too. Boy, I'm just not with it today. Not that it's that noticeable, but still. So for the basing, I have individual figures that I batch paint on sticks, then mount on their bases. That makes them spread out, the spread nice to be able to get the glue in between them. I also opted to use the 15mm base size elements, really, I guess, and mount 6 on each, as opposed to 3 on each. Probably looks better with 6. Right? You do your World War II 6mm on 15 by 30 bases and the same model count. That's a bit more fiddly to deal with. Yeah, if I did micro armor again, I'd probably play a 1-to-5 scale type of game and then model all 5 tanks on the actual stand. So I'd probably put like the whole platoon on a stand or something like that. But I'm not going to go back to that because I like the kind of tactical detail that I've been getting lately. So this guy is going to have, I almost said stockings. No, I don't want my men in stockings. Thank you. I'm old school traditional that way. I don't remember what color I ended up using for. It was something like this. Not khaki, it was like a gray green or something. I don't remember. I liked it though. It doesn't have to match exactly the same. There's going to be variations in the color. I don't know what color it was. It was a little bit of. Was it a Racky sand maybe? It's got to be one of these down here. It wasn't khaki. Man, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch a video. I'm gonna have to go back and watch a video. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop then because I don't want to pick a different color. But at least I woke up a little bit and got a little bit further done. We got the skin done on them. But anyhow, how long are we on here? About an hour? Yeah. At least it woke me up a little bit. I'm not going to go to sleep at 7 o'clock anymore now. All right, folks, we'll see you guys later on in the week.